Ugh, I've been circling around this table for the last 4 or 5 minutes trying to find the right light. So, so ready or not, here we go. I'm just going to hang out for a second or two, see who shows up. As you can probably tell, I'm not in my normal environment for these kinds of live streams. But yeah, happy Monday morning, everyone. Today is I don't even know what today is, and I'm hoping that you're able to hear me okay. So if you're on, let me know if you can hear me. Um, there's a lot of nature sounds. There are a lot of nature sounds out here. It's sometimes it can be deafening. I am actually at my husband's uh, place of childhood home, I guess you would call this, where we both grew up in Virginia. He tested positive for COVID a couple of, well, he didn't test positive for COVID. What am I saying? Cancel that. I can't really cancel that. He was exposed to COVID twice while he was at work, and we're awaiting a second test to make sure that he is clear before I can go back home. So I'm here with the cat because we're probably both susceptible. I'm going to turn this around a little bit again. Sorry if you get dizzy here. I'm trying to get the right light, and I don't know that I'm actually going to get the right light today. So we're just going to have to go with what we've got. Um, Anyway, I'm trying to get the shadows out. Sorry, guys. It's all trial and error here. Today, we are going to be talking about the power of meaning. Um, and this topic was is brought to you by a new set of, well, it's an Oracle card app that I got. It's a $3.99 app called the Blind Spot Oracle by Teal Swan, and it's on my phone. And yesterday I drew one that has to do with meaning. It says meaning, so I want to share it with you, and I want to share a personal story because these are times when all of us are sort of being, most of us, those of us who are on that cutting edge of consciousness or whatever, we're being drawn to unearth our shadows and reconcile our truth. And we're in this planetary energy where the more that we are able to do this, the more it helps. It's for the good of the whole. Let's put it that way. Um, every act of shift in your consciousness really affects the fabric of the whole. So I'm going to share uh, my own personal experience with this particular card that I drew from this app, this Blind Spot Oracle app that I guess you can get at your app store on your phone. It's a really powerful deck. And if any of you were around for any of my other energy broadcasts where I was using the Soul Lessons and Soul Purpose deck by Sonia Choquette, and you considered them to be pretty straightforward, this is that on steroids. So, and if any of you have ever followed Teal Swan on YouTube or wherever, you know that she's pretty straightforward and to the point. So these cards are really pretty cool. So this card that I pulled, meaning, and I'll read a little bit and then I'll tell you my experience with it, and then weave it back into your life this week or your life today or in general. Um, Hi, Dana. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm at my parent or my in-laws' house until my husband gets cleared from his second test of COVID. So it's called, Jenny. It's called the Blind Spot Oracle. It's a $3.99 app. I don't know that she actually has the cards out yet, but you can get it on your smartphone. So So this card got me thinking about how we attach meaning to everything, right? Without even knowing it. And a lot of times, that meaning can either serve to inspire and motivate, like when you really feel fulfilled because you have meaning in your life. That's one way that that we work with meaning as humans, right? And another way that meaning can affect us, our attachment of meaning to certain, to experiences in our lives, is that it can destroy excuse me, it can destroy or debilitate us. So one example of that is, having to come up here on the spur of the moment because my husband actually got the phone call that he had been exposed to COVID while he was about halfway home from his month away at work, right? So he came home, quarantined in the basement. I packed my things, packed the cat, got out of the house, and then he went and got a test. But at the same time, the next day, he found out that the guy that he drove with partway tested positive, and we consider that a double exposure. So he's going to get another. He tested negative the first time. He's going to get another test today. Um, and in this time, like in the few days of last week when all of this was happening and I was packing up the car and feeling like this was very unjust, and I was attaching meaning to all of that, like the collective meaning of, oh, this is bad, this is awful, this is, what if he dies? And yeah, and there are valid concerns around that, right? But you know I caught myself getting into this. I was wronged. My family was wronged, and someone needs to pay for this, because that's kind of like the collective meaning that these kinds of things that we're dealing with in this era are sort of, it's the shadow aspect of what is of the collective meaning that we assign to these things. Now, being up here in this place with this, how did Dana put it, with this chilling background, there's a pool back there, by the way. Um, you know, it is confirmation to me where I sit right now in this moment, knowing that my husband so far is okay. He's not exhibiting any symptoms. We're just being extra careful in this moment. Um, the universe is actually working on our behalf, because he is we're both getting a little bit of alone time that we've probably needed, a little bit of decompression time, and I'm getting some time to really retreat in a different environment, with all of this sheltering in place, and um, all of the don't go anywhere advice. I really hadn't left home very much, and my soul and my spirit were calling for a different environment, a different experience, and here I am. So I realized at with that the meaning I was attaching was meaning that may be true depending on how things unfold, but really it wasn't serving me in the moment, and I was able to let go of that. But when I pulled this card about meaning, I thought, oh yeah, that's what it is. I've got that. I get that. I understand it. But something else came up, and let me read to you what this says. So she has these sigils, which are signs, and that's the one for meaning. I'll just put it up there in case you get something out of it. And I'll read part of this, and then I'll tell you my experience, and we'll bring it back to you. Meaning. If you have drawn this sigil, you have assigned a meaning to this situation or an experience that is part of this situation. That is not the actual meaning of the experience or the situation. And that's something to really remember. And the example I'm going to give you is not related to this story that I just told you. It's actually much deeper. Um, people for People search for a way of interpreting the implication of every experience in their lives. Seeking out the meaning of experiences is an advanced form of consciousness. But as we know all too well, there are pitfalls to advancement. The ability to derive meaning is both something that sets our species apart as an evolved and rapidly expanding facet of consciousness, as well as what causes us to self destruct. The quality of our experience is flavored by one thing, and that is the meaning that we assign to the experience. So, my motto in life, especially when I bump up against this awareness of how I'm assigning meaning to things, is to remind myself that nothing has meaning except the meaning that I give it, except how I perceive it. And I have a lot of control over how I can shift my own perceptions. Okay, so um, it's critical to recognize that there is a difference between what actually happens and the meaning of what happens. We must see that meaning does not inherently exist in the world in and of itself. Therefore, meaning does not inherently exist in a situation. It is an interpretation. And it is best not to confuse interpretation with truth. If meaning does not inherently exist in an experience, we must and do assign it to the experience, and then we mistake the event and the meaning of the event for the same thing. So the event and the meaning of the event are not the same thing, right? Um, you can destroy your whole life based on the meaning you assign to an event. Okay, so she goes into an example, but let me give you the example that this was alerting me to when I pulled the card yesterday. Day before yesterday, I decided I was going to jump in the car and take a ride. So here I am up in the place where I grew up. Not living in the home where I grew, not staying in the home where I grew up, but very close. So I decided I wanted to go take a little drive down memory lane. And I kind of drove my school bus route, and I said hello by the Shenandoah River, and I said hello to the trees that the bus used to drive under. And I saw the park where a lot of campers were and all kinds of things. And then I drove up around and I drove back to the home where I grew up. And I've been every once in a while when we're up here, I drive past that house because I'm really intrigued with what they're doing there. They have, they're growing things. They have chickens. They have all kinds of things that are pretty interesting to me. So I drove past that, and I didn't think anything about it. I was just kind of seeing if anybody was maybe out in the yard that I could talk to, but I wasn't going to knock on the door or anything. So I just drove past, came back. Next day, the next morning, I pulled this card of meaning, right? And I'm thinking, oh, this has to do with this whole COVID quarantine thing. And yeah, I took care of that. So it wasn't long after that my husband texted me with pictures of our bedroom. He had rearranged the entire bedroom. And I went a little crazy for about 2 or 3 minutes. And it was really interesting. Like, I sort of lost my mind for a few minutes, went unconscious, I guess, because what was going on inside of me was this sense of disorientation, of feeling out of control. And this was something that we had talked about, and he was actually surprising me um, with his initiative to move furniture, and he was cleaning the entire bedroom, giving it a good deep clean, and all of this. And I was freaking out. It's like, how dare you do this to me? Why did you change everything? Why didn't we discuss this? Why didn't you tell me you were going to do this? And then I remembered, because I had driven past my childhood home. It was like right up on the surface that when my family built that home, um, and we actually moved into that home. I was not there for the experience, and I was not told that we were moving. I was sent to a friend's house for the weekend, and when my friend's parents brought me back on a Sunday night, I was thinking we were going to go back to the house where I thought we were living. And instead, we went past that house and we started heading toward this piece of land where my family had a garden, and I knew that there was a house being built there, and eventually we were going to move into it. But I had no idea that this move was taking place. So they dropped me off, and I don't know where my bedroom is. All the furniture is different. And it was like it was no big deal. And then when I realized that, after the 2 or 3 minutes of freaking out, I realized that what I was reacting to was this old wounding of me placing meaning on this old experience. I was probably about 7, and the meaning I placed on it is, these people do not respect me enough to even tell me that I'm coming back to a different home. And, I've dealt with this in all of its permutations, through talking to my parents about it, and, the whole reconciliation around that when they were alive. And, but I had no idea that there was just this deep, deep hook still of feeling wronged and out of control when something changes in my environment that I don't know about. So it was a real eye opener about that. And you know, my husband was texting me, he was going, "I'm doing something good for you. Why are you reacting this way?" And I realized it's like, "Oh yes, this is really good. This is what I wanted. This is what we had talked about. This is what we wanted to try, and it looks really good. Why am I reacting this way?" And that's in that moment where I could see the mismatch. And this is what I want to encourage you to do is, whenever you have a reaction that's out of proportion to the thing that is happening that you're currently experiencing in the moment, try to trace it back to see where the trigger is. Try to trace it back to see where you may have put meaning on something that is not currently accurate in your experience right here and right now. And then you can really ask yourself, is this true? Is this true of my experience now? And then if there's something that really needs to be healed from the past, take care of that as well, because that helps to kind of diffuse that trigger. And when you do that, you contribute a little bit of that diffusing of triggers and that healing to the rest of the world. So that's kind of the message from my experience today. And I'm going to just see if Teal has anything else to say. By the way, I'm reading from, if you just joined us, from the Blind Spot Oracle. It's an app by Teal Swan. It's about $3.99. You can get it in the App Store for your phone. I don't think she has the cards out yet, so I think you can only get it on your phone. Okay. So yeah, so I took that whole experience personally, and the childhood experience personally, and it's part of what contributes to my own sensitivity. But it doesn't have to be something that keeps me in a state where I'm feeling wounded and I'm feeling like a victim. So that's what I got from that experience of meaning, of understanding what meanings I've attached to certain experiences. Okay, so she says, if you have drawn this sigil, the painful meaning you assign to this situation or to an experience that is part of this situation was never the actual meaning of the situation or experience. What you must consider is that you've been punishing people or avoiding them for a meaning that you yourself assign to that experience with them. What you must consider is that much of the pain you are experiencing in this situation is not because of what you actually experienced, but because of the meaning you've assigned to that experience. So ask yourself, what am I making this mean? Then question that meaning so that you can discern the difference between what is actually happening and what you think the meaning of the experience is. So, my meaning assignment experience, um, that I was alerted to, or that came up from childhood, that was actually transferred onto my current primary relationship with my husband, because my parents aren't here anymore, I guess, and that was the thing that brought it up. But if you have like an ongoing thing that comes up with a partner or a child or your parents or whoever, you may want to kind of trace back. Well, where did this actually start? When did I actually start to feel this way? What was the event that kicked this dynamic off? And then go back to that root and explore the meaning that you've given it. And then, sometimes with these transferred things, you can still kind of go back and go, well, when did I feel that way? What's the earliest memory that I have of feeling the way that I'm feeling right now? And what was the meaning what was the event? What was the experience? And what was the meaning that I assigned to it? And was that true then? And is that true now? So, that's what I've got to share. Let's see what you guys have been sharing too. Yay. Yay. The sound is great. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for letting me know. Um, Hi, Joe. So glad you made it. Hi, Dana. Um, yeah. Yeah. If it happens pretty often, um, yeah, one of the things that, if this were a thing, and I may still do this since I have a lot of quiet and space here, if this were a thing that were really that, I just couldn't seem to get past, I would probably do some techniques like EFT, like the tapping. And you can Google videos about that, or look up videos about that if you're not sure of what EFT is. And, for my instance, I'd probably start tapping and go, even though I feel like my parents didn't care for me, didn't respect me enough to let me know that they were changing my environment, and they didn't. Think about my own emotions and feelings in this. I deeply love and accept myself. And then you just keep going with the tapping, and it evolves from there. And that, even if I've done that even with repeating patterns, even when I can't get to the meaning that I assigned it, because it actually helps me to get to the meaning. Some of you may like to journal, or just do meditation and reflection, or contemplation, like Richard Rudd's well, I don't know if it's his technique, but with the gene keys, we contemplate a lot. We put the question in our consciousness, and then we go about our lives being present as present as possible in the moment in our lives, and allow that question to sort of percolate and unearth what we need to see. So those are some things that I would do. I'm wondering if you all have any things that you do that would help you to get in contact with the meaning that you've been assigning uh, your life experiences that may or may not be accurate. So feel free to chat. I actually don't have much of anything else. Thanks so much for such a meaningful message, pun intended. You're welcome, Dorothy. You're welcome. Yeah. Um, let's see. Any news? Let's see. News. Actually, I had blocked. kind of blocked off this week. I blocked off last week because we were really supposed to be up here sort of settling my father-in-law's estate. So here I am, sort of doing a little of that too. But I do have openings for readings. I do have the soul level strategy sessions. They're still available. They're no longer on uh, sliding scale, but they are on my website. And if it's probably up there somewhere. Yeah, I think it's in the drop down menu on my website. If you're interested in learning about your soul level characteristics and how you can live them through your design, that's there. And I've got some other things percolating, but I think I'm going to sit on them for a while. I'd love to have your feedback about well, I'll save that for the community section. I'm working on a potential membership program where that's going to be accessible to all people, where I can gather all of you at once and have opportunities to really interact with you, not just through the chat, but through Zoom, and and to make it at least on the entry level affordable place where you can kind of come and do your absorb your human design and related modalities, heart and attention. But I'm beta testing some things, and you may or may not hear about this again. So we'll see. We'll see about that. If it excites you, let me know, because that'll just give me more energy to continue with that. All right. So I wish you the best this week. I wish you meaning that actually inspires and motivates you. It and awarenesses in your life, and as you navigate through your experiment with life, that bring up those shadows for you to turn over, for you to reconcile and heal. Because as you do that, you will do that for the entire planet. You will be doing your part for the entire planet. So, and of course, you will be doing it for you and those around you. And that's what's most important. So thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here in my community. And until the next time, be very well. I'd love to have your comments if anything comes up for you that you'd like to share around this awareness of where you may have attached meaning that may not be accurate in your life. Please feel free to share that in the comments, and love to know what your experiences are. Hi, Mike. Thank you for showing up. Glad you made it. We're just about to close up, but be sure to go back and watch the recording. All right. Take care, everyone. More to come. Bye.